Hi, Lacrosse fans. Welcome back to episode number 12 of the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse podcast presented by Lacrosse Unlimited. Lacrosse Unlimited provides the best equipment, apparel, and lacrosse footwear since 1990. Check out their website at lacrosseunlimited.com to find the new Vector Head by True Lacrosse. I'm your host, Will Petchnig, alongside co-host Jake Fox. In today's episode, we talk to someone who was born into lacrosse and gives back so much of his time to grow the game of lacrosse. His company LaxLife is giving away an awesome red bubble jacket. Find out more information after the podcast. This is going to be a good one. Enjoy.
He's won 3 Minto Cups. He's a 2-time Mann Cup champion, as well as a 2-time President's Cup champion, a 3-time Ross Victory Cup champion, a former NLL player for the Montreal Express and Ottawa Rebel, and current coach of the OLA's Orangeville Northmen Junior Bees, Brandon Sanderson.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Sanderson? How you doing today?
I'm doing as good as it can get. Without lacrosse, I'm doing all right.
Oh, that's awesome. We're excited to have you here. And before we get started, I kind of want you to go through kind of how you got your nickname, Looney. Can you tell us about that?
Well, there's a couple stories out there. I'll try to keep it simple. I think it was more or less, I think I was 3 or 4 years old. And my dad, I think they had like a lacrosse party. All the boys were over and they were loading up the old station wagon with old beer bottles. And I think my dad came out and I was throwing the beer bottles on the ground and walking over them. And then there's some other stories, me just being loony. And I think I got my nickname was actually from my Uncle Terry.
That's awesome.
So I've had this nickname, I know probably from like 4 or 5 years old. And it was just something that stuck, even with Shooter, Josh's got his nickname Shooter and Flipper and that. It was just one of those nicknames that stuck with me. And right now, to be honest with you, I think most of the time when someone calls Brandon, I think my name's Looney. Like I never really answer to Brandon that much anymore.
Oh, that's great for sure. You talked about Orangeville here, so we're going to get right into things. And Can you talk about minor lacrosse growing up in Orangeville and playing the game that you love so much?
Yeah, well, when we first started, I think I was 3 years old, me and my cousin Ryan, and we didn't have paperweight or there was no like peanuts back then, so it was we ran right into tyke. I ended up playing, I think, 5 or 6 years of tyke. Didn't really score my first goal until I was, I think, my 4th year at tyke. And then, growing up minor, I've always had, my dad coaching, my Uncle Shane coached me, my Uncle Phil, my Uncle Terry. From literally tyke to junior, and just growing up in this brotherhood, I'm not saying that we were kind of the pioneers, but I think, my dad and them, they started us off and we just sort of rolled with it. And, I think Orangeville Lacrosse has had to benefit with what, my dad and my uncle did and like Bob Cleveley over the years and stuff. And, it's just turned into the best thing I could say. It's probably just a family. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from. You come into Orangeville, you're a family no matter what.
Udi, I want to talk to you about the Sanderson name. It's funny because we talked to Brendan Bomberry a few weeks ago, and the Sanderson name in Orangeville is very similar to the Bomberry name in Six, to the significance of that family and lacrosse in that community. So talk about your family's name and legacy, not only in Orangeville, but obviously your Uncle Terry had a huge impact on the game. So just talk about how it's impacted not only Orangeville, but Ontario lacrosse in general.
Well, yeah, it's with our family, we want to do everything with lacrosse, it's just bred in us, going through, what my dad and my uncles did. And, like I said, Bob Cleveley, there's so many more names that have supported us over the years. And, it's taken a lot of time, I think, but like our name, I think, my dad and my uncles coached in the pro league, we've refed, coaching every level, that we can, and with my company LaxLife, it's, we're doing camps all over the place. It's, I think it's a respect thing. I think it came, is it came from like my dad and Terry and them. And we just trying to keep the legacy going. And, with Josh and Flip and Nate and all the boys, we just try to keep the name going and try to do as much as we can for the game that we love more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you guys, especially in Orangeville, have started something that other centers are starting to clue into, and it's bringing guys who are currently playing pro and bringing them back to coach minor teams. How big of an impact has that had with Orangeville Lacrosse and their minor program right now?
Oh, unbelievable. It's amazing, the guys that actually have moved to Orangeville too, that weren't actually Northmen, but now their kids are playing and, they're coaching. And I think literally from paperweight to junior, we have at least one or two pro guys or ex-pro players that are coaching, and you get that. And we're all kind of, we all kind of have that same mentality, so it's very easy to, when the kids move up from tyke to novice, they're getting new coaches or whatever, but, we're all kind of in that same mentality, and it's, it's being proud and working hard, and, everybody's bought into that system.
What was your best memory in minor lacrosse for you? Obviously, you probably had a few. You played with some unreal guys at your age group. What were some of those minor memories that you remember? Because I remember for me growing up, it was always the road trips, or, we used to camp at provincials when I was younger, or staying at dorms at provincials or something like that. What was some memories that really stick out to you that you still hold dear to you today?
It's, I think it would have been, I know it was a B championship. It was the year me and my cousin Ryan, my uncle Phil, my cousin Chris is a year older, so he called me and my cousin Ryan up a year, and we ended up playing Peterborough. John Grant and actually Rusty Kruger was on that team. He moved to Orangeville, and then I guess his dad had to move back to Cobourg for work. And I remember us ended up beating them in the Brampton Memorial Arena 8-5. And then, like, after the game, me and Rusty were really close. I ended up going back to Cobourg with him, and actually went to one of their practices. And John Grant Sr. was the first time I ever met John Grant Sr. And I was up in the stands just watching their practice, waiting for them to be done. And I remember John Grant Sr. just calling down and being like, "Sanderson, let's go. You want to come and practice?" The season was done. I think it was just their last little fun practice. So that was one of the first memory, or like one of the best memories I think I've ever had in like minor. There was a ton more, but that's one that actually sticks out the most.
As a minor, talk about Friday nights was the big night. You would go to Tony Rose, aka the Bunny Barn that most junior players call it, for the fabulous view in the crowd. Talk about how the impact that has on minor kids, having basically one of the best fan bases all junior lacrosse.
It's it started I think it started when we started junior, I think like in 92 or 3 when we all started getting into junior. And it was just, Orangeville, it's like any other town. Orangeville loves winners, and we sort of set the bar high, and, and it just seemed, the girls just kept rolling in and rolling in. They all go down to that far side. Then you got all our buddies, and stuff like that. And as the years have gone by, it's the Bunny Barn is it's getting a lot. There's less clothes. Back in our day, the girls were a little bit more, polo shirts and short shorts, but the girls seem to reveal a little bit more these days, which it's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm a little older, but it's just I don't know why it just keeps rolling in. It's a small town, and we've got a lot of pretty bunnies in town, I guess, if you like to say.
That's awesome. And going into your junior lacrosse career, before we talk about your 3 Mento Cups, you had a lot of amazing talent in that junior A league. You had John Grant, Toller, Tracy Kaluski, Colin Doyle, Jonas Dirk, Sean Williams, Matt Giles, Mikey Kersey, the Bomberries, the Henhawks, Gavin Prout, Brad Reed, one of my favorites, G Nash. They were all all-stars. And talk about the junior A league back then.
Yeah, I got to play against probably the best players in my age group, and I still think in the world. There were so many good players. When I first started, I wasn't that big, and we were playing some pretty big guys, and it was a learning experience. Like Miles General and the Bomberry, like Timmy Bomberry. I mean, I remember getting hit by him my first year, and I think he threw me almost 20 feet in that old Six Nations barn, and um, after that, I learned not to, that Timmy's sliding every time, but yeah, Willie and Junior, and I got to play with those guys, and growing up playing against them was always, was always a competition. We always wanted to, like, everybody. I don't know if everybody hates Orangeville. You know what I mean? It's and we just, it was unreal. Our junior career, I got lucky to win 3. I'm still kind of peed off we didn't win 4. To be honest with you, I know it's selfish, but I'm just lucky to play against some of these guys and actually play with them, become real good friends with them and stuff.
Yeah, I think I only played in Orangeville once or twice in 5 years. It was weird. I think I missed one time, but it was always a fun place. One question I have to ask you, do you guys heat up the visitor room? Because it's hot as hell in there. I know you guys must turn the steam up in there. Come on now. Don't lie.
I don't know. Something happened in 93, I think, in the Minto. The heater or something broke in that room, and they've never been able to fix it. I don't know. Like, we've tried, we tried to put air conditioning in that because, teams get mad and, it's really hot and it's a little shitbox, to be honest with you. But it's, it's just one of those things that just the heat won't work. Or the heat will work. Sorry, the air conditioner won't work in there. Sorry.
Oh God, no! That was the one thing we'd always go into the other rink in the bunny barn to cool down because it was cooler. But let's go into your 3 Mintos. You won 93, 95, and 96. And 95, you were the unsung Northman hero. I mean, God, I didn't even get to play in 1, so the fact that you won 3, I'm a little jealous, especially the Northmen. But talk about those Mintos and what they really meant to you and the teams, why you guys were so successful then.
Yeah, well, the 93 team, I think there was 12 of us that were in our second year, so we were pretty young. But we had a good core of guys. We at that time, like, I don't know if we were really the best skilled team, but we were a close team. Like, our veterans were real good with us, and they took us under their wings. And, we always had, there's about 4 or 5 of us that always played together. It was me, Ryan, Rusty Kruger, Gary Scott, and Blaine Berman. And we always had a real bond, and we always were very competitive, And so 93 was actually, I think it was a surprise to the world, of lacrosse, because St. Catharines was stacked. With Luker and Toller and Kilgore, like Travis Kilgore, and like, they were big, they were strong. But we, to be honest with you, I'll give it to my Uncle Terry and my dad. Like, I think they outcoached them. We just stayed to our system. They tried beating us up. We answered the bell on that. And then, 94, I hate talking about it, but we lost to Brampton in 7 in the Bunny Barn. We were up 3-1. We kind of got a little bit too cocky, and unfortunately we lost. And I remember to this day, I remember us going into our, we had 2 dressing rooms, and there was me, Ryan, Gary, and Krug and Chris and all them. And we were, 6 or 7 of us. And, I was so mad. I think I broke my stick, my helmet, and we said, we will never lose another Minnow Cup. And, it was, we all just made a bond in that 95 team. That night, I think we went 35-1, and it was probably the best team I've ever been on. And then, like, 96, we lost Chris and Matty Sawyer and a couple of vets, and 96 was an unbelievable team too. But that 95 team, I believe, was probably one of the best junior A teams in Orangeville, and we've had some great teams. Skill wise. Like, we had skill wise, we fought, we stuck up for each other, we bled, but we knew that we weren't going to lose.
No, I think it's fair to say Orangeville has always been one of the tougher teams. Talk about the core that that brings so much pride and passion to Orangeville. Basically, every Orangeville guy I know has that Northman tattoo somewhere on their bodies. Talk about really just kind of the passion of lacrosse in general there.
Yeah, it's the passion for, like, I know, like, I'm older, we're 45, and some of my other buddies I play with are like, turning 50. But what we do is we try to make sure that the new Northmen, a lot of us coach them or we know them, but we try to make them feel like they're part of the Northmen family right off the bat. With Donville coming into Orangeville, and we usually pick up some good players here and there, and it seems like they've been a Northman for life. It's just the way that we all conduct ourselves. We all still, we have our alumni weekends, and it's just unbelievable. We all party together, and it doesn't matter if you're 19 or you're 45. It just seems like we're all, like I said, it's like a brotherhood.
Yeah, no, I remember my fourth year of junior. You guys acquired Matt Gilray and Thomas Hogarth from us, and I remember them saying how Suits used to put them up and would bring them in and live with them. And I think that just goes to show really how important you guys take your lacrosse, and just how much pride no matter if you've played on the team for 1 year or you're an out-of-towner, especially from Peterborough, because we don't like each other that much. You're willing to accept anybody, so I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's coaches are always open, and my dad was a big, when he was coaching, like Mikey McLeod was lived with us, and Konechny would live with us, and it was just there were so many billets that we always took in, and and like everybody does, it's great, and we just want to make them feel at home. We want to give them the best feeling, being a Northman and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why the Northmen are a perennial powerhouse, and it goes to show with the Sanderson family and guys like Rusty Kruger, Bruce Cotton, even yourself, and all the passion that you guys bring to the Northmen is why you guys are such a family, and you give back so much to the game. And it's awesome to see you guys do so well every year, even though like you said, a lot of people don't like Orangeville, and that just goes to show how good you guys are and how you're a tough team to play against. It's all thanks to you guys that give back so much to the game of lacrosse. So
Thanks.
We're going to ask you, a lot of lacrosse fans know this, but some may not, the meaning of the letter T on jerseys in Orangeville, and I believe it was with the Toronto Rock as well.
Well, unfortunately, my Uncle Terry passed away there, and it was just like, it was a thing to show the support to a man that made Northern lacrosse, the colors. He was a Raiders fan, so of course, when we were doing the Northmen, it was black and silver, and wearing that T on your sweater, and we have the pins for us older guys. It just it shows the pride that we had, and the how proud he was, and how proud we were of Terry, and what he meant to Orangeville, and just lacrosse, and with the Toronto Rock and stuff like that. So if you see someone from Orangeville wearing a T on thing, that's it's for my Uncle Terry, and it's he's still with us, and looking over us, and with Chris and Ryan, my Uncle Phil, and that, and it's just one of those things to give back to him and show that he was Northman lacrosse. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I was going to say, it wasn't just Orangeville and Toronto. I remember we had it in Peterborough and everything. Your Uncle Terry was and is arguably one of the best guys to ever coach lacrosse, and has gained so much respect that, when something like that happens and the whole lacrosse community surrounds themselves around one guy, I think that leaves an impacting legacy. So we miss your Uncle Terry, and we thank him for what he did for the game.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
We're gonna switch over to our this or that segment. So we're gonna have a little fun. Jake's gonna give you two options. You basically got to pick one of them. You can explain why, or you don't have to.
Okay.
All right, the first one: Minto championships or Man Cup championships?
Minto.
Field lacrosse or box lacrosse?
Box.
Coaching or playing?
Oh, coaching. I still think I got it.
Score game-winning goal or assist on the game winner?
Do I have to be honest on this one? Goal. The people know me. They know goal. Yeah.
Tony Rose Memorial or Alder Street?
Pass. That's Tony Rose. Playing in Tony Rose, coaching in Alder. How's that?
It's good.
That works. Better junior rivalry: Orangeville versus Six Nations Junior A or Orangeville versus Green Gales Junior B?
I would say both. I think there's a good hatred between both teams. Or all three. You know what I mean?
Cottage country or city life?
Cottage.
Figured. Tim Hortons or Starbucks?
Oh, Timmy's.
The LCBO or the beer store?
Orangeville milk, baby. LCBO.
Better athlete: Bruce Codd or Rusty Kruger?
Rusty Kruger, by far.
Better fighter: yourself or Andrew Suter?
Well, you can ask Suter that. I've tried to fight him in our alumni hockey and lacrosse, and he won't fight me.
They're taped on now.
He's getting softer. He's got a kid now. He's soft now, so maybe I might have a chance.
Big Mac or McNuggets?
Oh, Big Mac, baby.
Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid?
Sydney.
Front door or back door?
Ooh, that's a front door.
Brooklyn Redmen or Peterborough Lakers?
Jesus, Jaker, you're killing me here. Pass.
Oh, that's a bullshit answer.
I gotta say, okay, I'm going with the Lakers. With Brooklyn. I won my first Man Cup there.
There we go. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
No, you definitely had good experiences in both. We're going to go into your NLL, MSL, and Senior B careers. You've won several championships. You kind of had a cup of coffee, I would say, in the NLL with Ottawa and Montreal. You played 6 games total, but I talked to Brad MacArthur and Jason Crosby about you always going up on the train rides with them to Montreal. Can you talk about kind of your NLL days and how playing in the NLL was for you? And they told me you're always such a great teammate and awesome guy to be around.
Oh, thanks. I didn't get to play a lot. I got to the experience with Montreal and Ottawa. The train rides were just something else. You've got 20 some guys rolling down. It was all business on the way down, but getting up at, I think usually Terry would get us up at like 6 a.m. on the Sundays or whatever to catch the bus at 7, and it would just be a wreck. Guys wouldn't sleep. We were all having fun. We were all young guys and stuff, and it was quite the experience. There's some good stories. I remember the one actually Kelly Sullivan passed out, and my Uncle Terry came and cut his tie, and Sully, I think it was a brand new tie. Sully didn't wake up until we got back to the Toronto train station. Woke up and he just had no clue what was going on. He looked at his tie and he's like, I just bought this tie. Like he was so mad. And then that was a funny joke. Just we never passed out with tea with scissors because you cut your tie or whatever. But we had a great time. It's unfortunate of Montreal. I thought we were really getting a good fan base there. We had a great talent, with Tracy Kleski being our captain. And, I thought we had a lot of good talent there, but it was unfortunate, only lasted a year. And then Ottawa, the same thing. It seemed I was the, whatever team I went to folded. And then so after Ottawa, I tried out for the Rock and, it just didn't work out. And after that, I just, I stuck with the MSL and coaching more and reffing and stuff like that.
Playing for Ottawa and Montreal, I know the league is quickly expanding. Could you see, most people say Montreal for sure. Could you see teams back in Montreal and Ottawa at some point?
I believe Montreal. I think if they did, it would be a big hotbed. Ottawa now, lacrosse is getting bigger around that area, with Nepean and Gloucester and stuff like that. They've I would love to see as many Canadian teams as possible, to be honest with you. And Halifax, unreal, their first season, too bad it's cut short. But, I believe you bring it back to Montreal and Ottawa, I think you would get the support there.
All right, let's go into your MSL career here. Like you said, you won your first Man Cup in 2000 with Brooklyn. Talk about that team. Obviously, it was pretty special. It had been a while, I think, since Brooklyn had won a Man Cup. So talk about that and the guys that were on that team, because from what I remember, it was a pretty stacked lineup.
Yeah, well, I got traded from Peterborough to Brooklyn. And then, walking into that room, it was kind of intimidating. I had my first year, I fought John Fusco, and then I got beat up by Gary Rosinski, and then me and Scotty McNell tried to fight. I think a week before I got traded. So I was if you played against me, you knew I was a little bit of a try to get under your skin and blah blah blah. So when I heard I got traded to Brooklyn, it was a little nerve-wracking, going into that first room, the first time going to the room. But, Sean Williams and actually Johnny Fusco and Gavin Prout and guys like that came up and said, we're glad you're here, and made me feel welcome right off the bat. Marty O'Brien, Reeder, those boys, Nick Trudeau, Blazer, Glennie Clark, the list goes on. Sorry if I'm missing guys, but that team, like, it just felt like when I showed up, I just felt like a part of their team right away. They made me feel welcome, and I think they knew what I would bring to the table. And I think I might have been just one of the pieces of the puzzle for their success. And I was lucky to get into a couple Man Cup games, and it was an amazing feeling playing in front of that many fans at the Iroquois. It was unreal.
You went on to win Man Cups in Peterborough, especially 04. Talk about going back to Peterborough, and then we'll try and get you to piss off Orangeville people a little bit after this question. But talk about that Man Cup.
Okay, yeah. Well, 2004, I went back. Well, I got back to Peterborough. Brooklyn and I'm not going to mention any names. We had a little bit of a falling out, and they actually released me. And then it was Mark McAuliffe, I think, was the GM at the time, called me. I was back in Orangeville. I wasn't playing. Played a game with the Arthur Aces just to stay. And then the next, I think a couple days later, Mark called me, and I was back in Peterborough. And then, so then we ended up winning in 2004. I didn't play in the Man Cup. Our lineup was unbelievable. You know what I mean, with Kersey and the Evanses and Junior and Kluski. It was, but winning with those guys, and my first year Peterborough, I think we might have had 50 fans, literally. Like it was a struggle for 4 or 5 years, and then started getting the fans, the support, and all the boys started coming back, and it was an amazing to see that transformation in about 4 or 5 years. And I'm glad I won a Man Cup with them. It was I wish I could have played, but it was it was still special to win with some of my best friends. Like me and Junior and Trace Koleski. I got real good friendship with them and the Evanses and stuff like that. So it was fun to win with them.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I was on that second of the trio they have right now, not playing in the Man Cup, so it kind of sucks, but it's still, you're still a Man Cup champion, so still feels good. Now I want you to talk about, especially talking about the fans and how, once Teddy Higgins basically took over, you saw a huge rise in Peterborough fans. What are some of the big differences you noticed between Peterborough and Orangeville lacrosse fans?
Well, they're both crazy, and they're both passionate. Peterborough fans, it's tough because, when I went back and played there when I was with Barrie Lakeshores and, even coaching there, they're all over us. They were all over me and, chirping me and blah, blah, blah. And, you get the same effect when you come to Orangeville. It's just, I think both cities are so proud of their teams and passionate. And you can see it in Peterborough, it's an amazing atmosphere to be in there in those playoff games and stuff like that. And I think, to be honest with you, we're very similar. And, I think that's why I kind of go along with a lot of Peterborough people, because it's kind of like Orangeville a little bit.
Back-to-back President's Cup in 2008, 2009. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience too. we got in some real good players. We brought in, like the Chad Culp and Ryan Benesh and, playing with Brian Kazarian. And I think the first one we lost in Owen Sound, Adam Jones as a 16-year-old, I think, was playing with us. And, we went back to back. We were a real solid team. It was almost felt like kind of like the old Orangeville days. Because we would go up to Manitoulin Island and we'd all party together for a week. And I was always in between jobs. So, I'd go up for a good week and, live at the Cloudies or live at the Kazies and stuff like that. And it's almost like Orangeville too. It's, small town mentality, and these, I've been so fortunate to play in some of these great centers and, when in 2008 or in 9, it was sort of a mission of ours from losing to Sherwood Park, and I think it was in 7, right? So it was a lot of fun, like great teams, Chugger and Net. We've got NLL Hall of Famers on our team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you definitely had a lot of success in your box lacrosse career, and you also had some in your field lacrosse career as well. Before we go into your 3 Ross Cup victories, did you play NCAA lacrosse or did you stay in Canada for field? How was that?
No, I never went down to school. My first experience with field was the Orangeville Bears, our high school, which was pretty much our junior A team. So, we had Chris and Net. Our defense was big and mean. And, after our second or third year, field lacrosse, the Bears, it was me, Rusty Kruger, and my cousin Josh on attack. So, we had a lot of fun with that. And then when we won those championships, it was with the Orangeville Generals. It was a guy named Greg Ireland. Greg Ireland was our coach. Amazing guy. And he brought, it was almost a mixture of us, and we brought in like 5 or 6 junior A Brampton guys. Yeah, we brought in some Brampton guys. And then we brought in a couple, the Langdale brothers. I think it was Randy Renault, Sean Williams. This team was by far the biggest all-star field lacrosse team ever. Like I really don't remember too many teams. Like I think we beat Winnipeg or BC or someone in the finals. I think it was like 25-3. It was just, it was, and all of us didn't like, we had that mentality where it wasn't like we were trying to embarrass teams. We were just that good. And, we didn't stop, and it was an amazing, as much as field lacrosse goes, I'm a box guy, but I had a lot of fun playing with all those guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. You had a lot of success in that field, winning those senior Canadian field championships. So we're going to get into some more fun here. We're going to do our word association game. So basically, Jake will say one word, and you got to think of someone in lacrosse that best fits that word in your opinion. You can explain why, or you don't have to. You can just give an answer.
Right on.
Yeah, sometimes they're pretty self-explanatory. So the first one is the GOAT, greatest of all time.
I'm going with Junior. John Grant Jr.
All right. The next one is goals.
Goals. Goals. Shawnee Evans.
All right. Defense.
My brother Flip.
Playmaker. I'm just expecting another brother here, possibly.
Yeah, cousin shooter. Yeah.
Cousin, my bad.
Yeah, no problem.
Goalie.
My cousin Chris and Jimmy Rankin.
All right, coach.
Whoa. Oh, someone that's coached me. I'm gonna go. I know it's the easy answer, but I liked Peter Vipon.
Nice. Let's go with fast.
In my day, Jason Luke. If anyone knows Jason Luke, and Steve Toll, those two were super fast.
I love it. I hear Toller so much, and you look at him now, you're like, come on now. You weren't fast.
He had a different level. He was just like from 1 to 20 real quick.
Next word, is team.
Northmen.
Yeah, shocker. Next one is agitator.
Ooh, that's a good one. Scott, I like the way Peter, but I'm going with Scotty Evans.
Chipper up. Yeah, I can see that.
Scotty was good at what he did.
I forget. Someone said couldn't pick an Evans, so he said all of them. He said Steve, Sean, and Chippy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they're all good at their job.
The next word is tough.
My cousin Ryan was, if I got to explain tough, everything. Ryan, my cousin Ryan, for sure.
The next word is lazy.
Me for sure.
Oh, God. All right, next one's passion/dedication.
Passion. Oh, that's a... Yeah, I would say Bruce Cott. I said passion, Bruce Cott.
Next word is future star.
Future star. All my cousins and nephews. Cam, Dylan, Carter, Nolan.
We should call this the Sanderson Association game, not the Word Association game.
Yeah, I'll throw in Max Kruger too. Max Kruger, he's a unreal little player too.
All right, and the last one, my favorite word is jackass.
Ooh, jackass. Oh, that's a good one. Ooh, jackass. Jackass. I'm stuck on that one.
You could say prouder. I heard he beat you up. That's what he told me. You can tell that story if you want.
Whoa. Okay, Prouder. No, yeah, I love Prouder. We had a good one. He didn't kick my ass. He might have beat up another one of my family members. He didn't beat me up. Ask him how that series went after I beat him up.
Oh, that's great. We're going to go into your coaching here. You're currently the head coach of the Orangeville Northmen Junior B. You won the Founders in 2017. Can you talk about coaching and giving back with the Northmen and kind of that Founders experience in 2017?
Yeah, it was great. You know, with Brucey asking me, I was really excited to get back, you know, and get to coach with my brother, you know, and that team we had, you know, to be honest with you, we at the start, it was we didn't know where we were going to go with these guys. You know, you know, it's not that they didn't buy in, but we, you know, we struggled to score goals at the start, and then, you know, halfway through, it just something clicked, and you know, it just everybody was just on the same page, and you know, I give a lot of props to my brother and Brucey for, you know, their structure and their game plan, and you know, Brucey just let me do what I had to do, and you know, it was actually my first as a coach, winning a Canadian championship. So I was pretty emotional about it. It was an amazing feeling. You know, it was something you can't take back, and it was just to win with my, you know, and my dad actually came on the bench. Right. So it was an amazing, it was just the players, you know, it's something I'll never forget. And, you know, I'll hold all those players in my heart for, you know, for the rest of my life.
We kind of touched on it earlier, but I want you to talk a little bit about just in general, like just, again, Orangeville giving back and why, like, that's just the main reason it's become a powerhouse, I think. So talk about, again, what was the main reason for you coming back to coach in Orangeville and not, you know, a lot of guys, you know, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but Suits and DJ leaving for Mimico. Why do you think so many guys come back to Orangeville?
Oh, well, you know, nothing against the Mimico boys, because I went to Barrie for a bit, you know, and, you know, for being in Orangeville, you know, like at that time, Matty Sawyer had the junior A's, right? So, you know, I think Brucey actually, he coached in the Beach, and, you know, Rusty Kruger coached in Brampton. But, you know, as much as we go out of town and, you know, try to, you know, promote the game as much as we can and coach, because I know we all love it so much, you know, and you can't have 20 Orangeville guys on the bench coaching. But coming back, you know, when Brucey asked me to come back, it was, I was just, you know, I was in awe. You know, I was finally, like, I coached the junior Bs way back, I think like I had the opportunity to coach Rosie in his first year junior. We ended up losing to Oakville in the finals, whatever. But anytime you have a chance to jump on a bench in Orangeville, you don't say no. And once Brucey, before it even came out of his lips, it was, yep, I'm there. Whatever you need me to do, I'm on the bench, So it's just, to put even the golf shirt on and wear that Northman hat every night, it's just a pride thing. It's just being proud. It's being proud to be a Northman.
You also coached for Team Nova Scotia in 2015 at Nationals. Talk about that and why Nova Scotia? How'd that work out?
Well, my dad, our family is from the East Coast. Like my dad and the uncles were born there. Chet Ganetny went out there, right? Cheddar Bob went out, was the director of lacrosse, right? And then, I was in between stuff and, I just kind of trying to find myself, right? And, he called me and was like, do you want to come help me? And I was like, yeah. Cheddar and I, we've been real good friends for almost 11 years. We have our company LaxLife together. And, when Chet asked me to come out, literally I was on the first flight out to Nova Scotia. I'm one of those guys, I'd love to coach, and I knew we were in for, a lot of work. And, I love teaching the game. It was just a great experience. Those kids, they put in so much work. Like we were doing two a days, they were working out 3, 4, we had these kids programmed and they just bought in, and it was a great, I wish I could have stayed a little longer. Unfortunately, blah, 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 things happen, but, I still help out with their President's Cup team. And, it's just, my heart's in Nova Scotia too. My parent, my dad was born there. So it was a no brainer to me to go there and help Cheddar out.
All right, this is where we're going to give you your 30-second elevator pitch and, allow you to talk about LaxLife Company in closing and let everyone know what it's about and where they can find it.
All right. We've started a company. It's called LaxLife. Chet and myself, it's all about, our website is LaxLife.ca. It's something we started to give to new coaches, parents that don't know the game. We've got over, I think, 3,000 plays and, programs and stuff that you can do, your own practice plays. There's drills that I've done up for, your offensive 4-on-3, 3-on-2, there's so many different things. And we started actually, it's called, it's coming soon. It's called Looney's Take. And it's my take on, lacrosse gear and what I think, and hopefully that's we've been doing some work the last couple months on that, and hopefully we can bring that out very soon. But it's just with our clothing line and the camps and stuff like that. It's it's all about lacrosse, and it's it's what we love, and it's our passion.
That's awesome for sure. And I think Looney's Take will be very exciting for lacrosse fans. And speaking about exciting, your Twitter account, BLooney22. I knew who you were. Brad Reed kind of told me you were the crazy Sanderson brother with the mohawk on the bench, obviously last year with the Junior B Northmen when I was coaching against you. I ended up following you on Twitter after you tweeted about Suits' fight at the President's Cup last year. So I thought that was hilarious. So we're just going to talk a little bit about your Twitter. From what I gather, you're a huge Leafs fan, and you don't have to mention this or you don't have to talk about this if you want to, but I enjoyed your tweet the other day about our Prime Minister. I thought it was hilarious. I just think your Twitter in general is just so unfiltered, and I think it's great. Obviously, I can't do that being a professional athlete right now, but I hope one day that I could have a great Twitter account like you one day. So do you want to talk a little bit about your Twitter?
It's I get in moods. It's one of my 10 personalities being loony, and I'm not a big political guy, but when Justin Trudeau is just, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because I know he's a puppet, and, and he just takes the blood. I'm not a huge fan of him at all. Whatever. I think he might be one of the dumbest men alive. you know, and I'll be totally honest with you, you know, it's straight up. And, you know, my Twitter, you know, some people like it, some people don't. I'm a diehard Leaf fan. I love my Leafs. You know, I remember 5 or 6 of my buddies that were Bruins fans when they actually beat us at whatever. I took them off of Twitter because they were driving me nuts. I don't know if I've added them back because I was so mad. And, you know, I'm a very passionate Leaf fan, and, you know, and my Twitter, yeah, just sometimes I get in the mood and I see something, I'm going to be loony and say what I mean. You know what I mean?
I think you and my father would get along extremely well. I think he has some same takes. We're going to go into our little story time. So we were lucky enough that, you know, we know a couple of Orangeville guys, and they're willing to express some stories that you were involved in. One of them being the 2004 bonfire with the Mann Cup.
Oh, that's like Fight Club. We don't talk about that, but I will give you some of it, but I won't. I'm not going to mention any names, if that's okay. Oh man. So yeah, we won. We decided that we were going to go up to a buddy's cottage, you know, and we're going to have some fun for a couple days. And, you know, everything was good. And, you know, we were having some fun, the old Peterborough fun and blah, 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 a couple drinks here and there. And it got nighttime, and, you know, guys were getting a little crazier. And there was a big fire pit with a big screen so you can, you know, cook burgers and stuff like that. And so everybody's around just having fun. And someone decided, you know, it'd be fun to have, like, the fire was literally probably good 5 feet high. So let's put the Mann Cup on the screen and let's take pictures. And, you know, it went pretty good for about a minute or two. And, you know, guys were like, oh, let's take it off. And, you know, it's going to start on fire. And, you know, when, you know, Peterborough guys and, you know, get a little drunk and have some fun. 5 minutes later, it's up in flames. And guys are fighting to try to get it off. And there were some younger guys fighting to keep it on because they thought it was cool. And as much as I could say, the next morning I woke up. This is it's a little bit funny. I woke up, went down to the pit to see, you know, I went away. I was just like, this is crazy, right? So I come back down in the morning, and, you know, a couple buddies are fishing and just shaking our heads. We're like, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean? And I lived with Higgy at the time, right? So I'm like, I'm not going home with that. I'm not going home with that thing. You know, it was, but I actually found the only thing that was actually really fine was the 2004 Brooklyn Redmond, what are they called? The little plaque on the trophy. And it was sitting right beside the fire. To this day, I'm not sure if I'd get in trouble for this, but to this day, I still have that.
Oh, that's amazing! I love it. That Mann Cup's been in oceans, pools, fires. It's a shock that it's still put together.
It wasn't one of my prouder moments in life, but, you know, it's now. I mean, we can talk about it. We try not to talk about it, but yeah, it's like Fight Club. But yeah, it was young and dumb, a couple young dumb rooks, you know, and it just escalated real fast.
I guarantee it's not the worst thing to happen to a championship trophy. So another story that came up, I'm going to say the word salty.
Salty, huh?
Well, no.
We don't talk.
I'll explain it better. So,
okay.
As you know, a couple of the Nepean boys from the Junior B team went up last year to the Minto Cup, and they just said Salty made the trip to the Minto and cheered on the boys. And rumor has it you were dressed up as Salty at the Minto Cup. Is that true?
I would have to say no. I did dress up once. Salty Brucey asked me to dress up the one time. I think Mimico was in town, and all the little buggers, all the little paperweights or tykes. There's a picture of them all beat me up, like all attack me. I couldn't look down, and of course I'm not going to be, you know, fighting little kids. So they were punching me in the back and kicking me, and that was the last time I was Salty. I did not, unfortunately, make it out to the Minto. I want to know who thought it was me in there, but no, it wasn't me, unfortunately.
Oh, that's great. No, it was just me trying to get you to say that you were salty. So when we found out
Oh,
that we found
hey,
out that you were salty, so that's great.
yeah.
Uh, can you talk about Lobster Fest and how much fun you like to have there with the boys? Maybe talk about craft dinner at a friend's house back in the day after the festivities at Lobster Fest.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's like 4 or 5 different stories into one, I think. Well, Orangeville, I think it was the Lions Club used to do a lobster fest, if I'm pretty sure. I don't think we might have been the ones that, like the Northmen, that why they don't have it anymore. Um, I give you a couple stories. I remember the one lobster fest. I think it might have been the first or second last one before we ruined it. So coming to the end of the night, and it was like a tradition. Everybody's on A Arena, the music's blaring, there's hundreds of people just smashed. And once they put the lights on, everybody just starts throwing their beer cups, right? Whatever they have, you just throw it up the air. You don't care, right? So we're doing that, blah, blah, blah. We look over, there's a couple of our buddies dancing on those wood tables. So we're like, oh, that looks like fun. So boom, we ended up about 20 of us dancing on a table, and guess what happens? Breaks. So we thought it would be great to do as many as we could. And it was just one of those, being young and dumb. And, I don't know if it was literally the reason why Lobster Fest never came back, but, it was always there was fights up front. Guys would get put in a drunk tank, and, it was a blast. They probably couldn't do that these days because you'd be going to jail for 5 or 6 years. But, we had a lot of fun. But then we actually, after Lobster Fest was canceled, we started our own. It was called Slobster Fest, and we'd have it at my cousin Ryan's house. And it was, if you ever been to an Orangeville party, that Slobster Fest might have been one of the best parties. We were, you know, telling telling the cops to nicely go away. I think they came back 4 or 5 times. They were going to take our stereo. It was just, it was just good memories. Young and dumb, a lot of fun. But the craft dinner one, I don't know. I don't remember that one.
That's all right. I'm sure you had several stories like that back in the day. It's too many to remember, and I'm sure a lot of great memories. One of
Yeah.
your good buddies, Andrew Suter, he's going to come on and talk to us as well. I know you have maybe a thing or two to share about him, so feel free to share that.
Yeah, well, Suits, he's a piece of work. We get along. We like to bicker at each other. You know what I mean? I think I'm the old boy. He likes to try to get under my skin a little, and he knows he can fire me up. And it's actually not just him. Like all of us seem to, our big group of buddies. We all kind of go at each other. But I don't know. It's like I know like his dad and my dad are like best friends. They go golfing down south all the time, and I actually worked with their company, Vending Products, and Andrew worked with me a bit. And just say we stuck together against some guys we didn't like in the warehouse. And it was there's a couple good stories here and there. I don't know if I can tell them, but it was we're both the only 2 guys from Orangeville to play in Peterborough. That's a little fun fact and to win a Man Cup. Northmen alumni. It doesn't matter. It seems we could be on the same team or opposite team, Northmen alumni hockey or lacrosse. And we end up trying to fight each other. I don't know why, because I know he'd dust me. I know I wouldn't have a chance. I was never classified as a good fighter. And, it's just, we have like that brother kind of, that love. I respect Andrew. I love their family, and Greg, and it's just a brotherhood. And, I think that we get along really well. And yeah, he's just like one of my little brothers. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. We're going to go into our final thing here. As you know, there's been a lot of abuse towards officials in the last few years, especially in Ontario lacrosse. So we're going to ask you who your favorite ref is and why.
Well, that's a good question. It's not my favorite. It's I like Sucky. I like Sutcliffe. I think he's funny. And I love how he always tries to explain himself. there's some real good refs. Garrison, and Cropman, and like these guys, it's a lot of work. I think I was mentioning to you, I took over as referee in chief last year, and got back into reffing. I reffed for a long time there back in the day with when Frankie Lawrence was a little younger and still running the show, right? But it's not that I don't know. I see a different perspective being a ref now than being younger and coaching. It's some of the stuff I might have said last year without being the referee in chief to refs. I'm holding it back a little bit more because I actually I respect refs. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? It's just you can never make one coach it's always one coach is always mad. You know what I mean? So to be a ref, it takes thick skin, and I enjoy it. I love being I don't know, just trying to help the game out and help. I got 12 or 13 new refs, and they're younger kids, and it's I would go with Sutcliffe though. I like him. I think he's funny, and nothing against all the other refs, but I have a pretty good rapport with Sutcliffe.
Oh, that's great. And I think having a lighter side of the game and kind of keeping things light and having conversations with officials definitely helps out between officials and the coaching staff. So we do appreciate you coming on here and talking with us. And we hope to see you out on the lacrosse floor here in the near future, and wish you all the best in your future lacrosse endeavors.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, guys. I had a ton of fun. I hope I did all right. And, all the best to you guys. You guys are doing a great job. I love your podcast, and, keep rolling, and I'll be listening at 2:00 for the Suitor one.
Thanks, Looney.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse podcast presented by Lacrosse Unlimited. A reminder, you can find all your lacrosse needs at lacrosseunlimited.com. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages on Instagram and Twitter at SticksPicksLax, and on Facebook at Sticks and Picks Lacrosse. There you will find more lacrosse content and details about all of our giveaways. Special shout out to Take Control Training's owner and head coach, Trevor Sear, for completing his 1,500 burpees yesterday on June 1st for his TCT Resiliency Initiative. Thank you to everyone who donated to his great cause supporting mental health.